Hello there, and a warm welcome to the France Buying Guides YouTube presentation. Well, this week it's just a few words about the buying process in France. Now, in my view, it's actually better in France because you're more certain, both as a buyer and a seller, that you're actually going to end up with a property that you want. The buyer actually pays the fees in France, not the seller. And the fees can be anything from something like 5 to 10%. So it's a lot more than in England, which is actually the same across Europe. It's England who are cheaper, believe it or not. But for that, a good property agent in France will do a lot for you. They'll not only deal with all the conveyancing for you, get the notaire together, make sure all the paperwork's done, but they will also tell you about the area you're moving into, tell you about the lifestyle, and do all the utilities, etc. for you. So a good agent will do all that as well. Now, when you see a property that you like and you want to make an offer on it, do so through the agent. They might ask you to sign a bon de visite, it's called, which simply means that it's registered that you've actually gone to see the property through them. So you make an offer, the agent will put it to the seller, and if he's happy with it, it will go ahead. At that point, the compromis de vente will be drawn up by the notaire. The notaire's fees are also paid by the buyer. They're usually range between something like 6 and 8%. They're actually not, they are regulated rather, they're not negotiable. They're regulated by the government, and the notaire will do all the conveyancing. He's not biased, he doesn't act for the seller or the buyer. So it's perfectly okay to go with just the one notaire. Our advice to you, however, is to get a bilingual solicitor on board, because when the compromis de vente is drawn up, you can have what's called clause suspensive, so in other words, conditions. So if your purchase depends on a mortgage or a loan, or perhaps even something like depending on planning permission for something, or whatever it might be, it needs to go in that first contract. So in other words, if you need to get a mortgage or a loan, for example, and you don't get it, then if that condition's in there, you're not bound to buy it at the end. Without that condition, you would be. So it's important to get the wording right. So the compromis is drawn up. The buyer signs first. You as the buyer will sign. You then have a 7-day cooling off period during which time you can pull out with no penalty whatsoever. The seller signs after the buyer. He actually is bound then to sell it to you. That's where I think it's good, because you don't have any worry about being gazumped. So that's all done. It doesn't have to be in person. It can be sent to you by post, although some people like to be in the notaire's office to do it. But if people live far apart, it can be sent to you, done like that. Then the notaire will do all his searches, etc. And normally the acte d'avance, the final act or completion in English, is about 2 to 3 months later, depending on how complicated it is, whether the property is vacant or not. Now, if you see a property you like, be guided by the agent as to whether they're taking offers, to get an idea for it. Most people do expect to, as a seller, they expect to receive an offer of at least 10% off, but it depends. There are some properties which are very good value and they just want the asking price. But as I say, be guided by your agent. This is a great time to look in France because all the tourists have gone. Summer is now giving way to autumn. September and October are a great time to look. And prices have kind of stabilized a bit, so you'll get quite a good bargain. If you want to be recommended to a good property agent, do let us know. We can help with that as we can with a bilingual lawyer. That's it for this week. Hope this finds you well, and I will speak to you again very soon. Bye bye for now. Bye bye.